Okay, Winton track guide. Track's 24, so it's on the cooler side of things. I'm on my last couple of laps, so low fuel, hot tires. Um, we'll do a lap 59 here. It's a good representative one. This track's easy to overdrive if you're in the 32s, 33s. You're probably going overdriving it. Also, the setups in the description below. 8, I find the back end is just too twitchy, too much tire squeal. That's a thing that's going to slow you down. If your tires are squealing, you're going sideways, and if you're going sideways, you're not going fast. So 7 is kind of the sweet spot, I think. If you're really struggling for some grip, try 6, or if you're just learning the track, try 6. SPO, I have at 5. There is the one curb up ahead here that can break your car. Your best bet is just practice not hitting it, because the rest of the curbs don't damage your car. And I find the higher your spring perch is, again, the rear just gets more twitchy, the tires get more squealy, and you run into trouble. So we'll do the corners in slow-mo and then run it out at full speed. Here we go. So coming into turn 1, in my eyes I'm kind of braking at where this guy is here, but it looks like I'm braking a little bit before that. Pretty hard on the brakes when the tires are cold, harder on the brakes. From 4th gear into 3rd, I'd like to stay in 4th gear. If there's a car in front of you and you're drafting, you may want to switch up into 5th. It may get you a little extra time, so you may want to practice just taking this corner from 5th gear. But if there's nobody in front of you, I like 4th, or if you're out of the draft, I like staying in 4th. It's just more consistent, easier to control. So pretty hard in the brakes, just to slow the car down, shifting down into 3rd, and then just getting on the power. What you want to do is you want to aim for this, riding this curb, the red and white. I get maybe a little too much over there, but right on top of the red and white, maybe a little bit of the green. Again, at full power in 3rd gear. And the second part, I do like to get on the green just to get a better angle, so you don't hit this car breaker up here. So in 3rd gear, shifting up into 4th, again, braking early, braking hard, and then just getting on the power, because this is actually sort of a straightaway from that. Once you take that first corner, this is a straightaway basically, and you don't want to hit this. You can rub your tires on the edge, that's no problem, but you get your car on top of that, it's probably going to be a problem, and probably a big one. So watch out for that. Again, even if your spring perch is a 4 or a 3, it still probably is going to break your car, or your wing, or your nose, or something. So coming down the straight in 4th gear now, kind of sighting for the Marshall or the 50 board here. In 4th gear, cold tires, probably a little earlier you want to brake, but in real time I'm braking sort of between the Marshall and the 50 board in my view. Shifting down into 3rd, pretty heavy on the brakes. Again, this is on warm tires and a cool track. Cold tires or a hot track, you probably want to take this in 2nd, but once the tires are warm and the track's pretty grippy, I like to keep it in 3rd. So you'll have to experiment with that. In 3rd gear, you really want to get up tight against this curb. I don't know if you want to get on it so much, but right up tight against it. The wider you are, you're going to push wide, and you're going to be looking at that sand and getting an off track, so keep it tight up there. So 3rd gear, going up into 4th, again you want to run right out to the edge here. I think if you put the tire in the sand, that is an X, so just be aware of that, and just make sure you're getting over. Again, I don't think you could get any more left than what I am without getting an X, and you don't really want to be on the sand anyway when you're turning in. So just try and keep your left tire on the edge of this green stuff, just to open it up as much as you can, because this one you can take a lot faster the more you open it up. Turning in, and you really want to abuse this curb here even more than what I did in third gear, and just getting on the power. So again, it's not even a brake here, it's just a lift. Even when the tires are cold, it's still a lift, it's just more of a lift and a little earlier. So you can see it's just lifting here, coaxing the car in, and then getting back on the power. Again, I probably could have been a little bit more to the right, and that's just to straight line this as much as possible so you don't run wide. If you're not over that curb, you are going to push wide, and you're going to have to really lift here, which you do not want to do. And then just run it out to the edge of that curb again. You don't want to get in the sand. You can take a little sand without getting an X, but that's not going to make you faster. And then shifting up into fourth. So this corner is a little tricky in that this is a place where you could really overdrive. You've got to turn in earlier than what you think. So you can see I'm already starting the turn in. I kind of use this sand patch here is a guide, so you want to be turning in a couple of car lengths in front of it. And again, I don't want to hold this real tight to the curb at the beginning. What you're kind of looking for is right here. The curb's kind of got an angle towards these trees, and that's where you really want to kind of hit the apex of it. Again, you don't want to be in tight here because you're going to push wide. So kind of just aiming for this last little 10% of the curb kind of thing. On full power in fourth gear, holding it fourth gear through the whole thing. Again, when tires are cold or the track is slick, a little bit more lifting through that section. So you can see really it's just all I'm doing is just lifting on entry. When the tires are cold, you're probably going to be taking this not quite at full throttle, or if the track's 28, 30 degrees, maybe not quite full throttle in the early laps, but once everything's heated up, full throttle into fourth gear, holding fourth gear. And again, the track is cambered here, so you really have to be in this camber to do this. If you're out here, you're going to push wide, you're going to lose rear traction, and you're going to go real slow. So there's not really passing on the outside here because you're going to lose a lot of time. So you got to get inside, keep it inside. When you are in this camber, it actually will kind of want to pull you in a little bit, so you may have to just do a little tiny bit of counter steering to keep the car within the white line. And at this point, when you're coming right up to this curb here, I'm shifting into third gear. You can hold it in fourth, but I find in third there's less chance for airs and spins, and you're on full throttle. And then it's also easier coming up to this next section to brake and such from third down to first. So it's full throttle. Again, you want to hug the edge of this curb. If you're running wide, again, you're going to lose speed just by your tires squealing and sliding. So there's not a real good marker here other than maybe this Marshall box, and just getting a feel for how far away from it you want to be. So third gear, shifting down into first. Pretty hard on the brakes, not real hard, but pretty hard. Again, cold tires, you want to make sure you get on the brakes enough because you can spin it here pretty easy. And then kind of right in front of the Marshall box, shifting down into first gear, and actually that shift down into first gear will actually kind of help kick your back end out a little bit, get a little oh boy, what's the slip angle? Uh, and again, just off the throttle here until the tires get grip and hook up. You want to be hugging this real tight, but not really getting on it. And then getting on the throttle as early as possible, just unwinding the wheel in first gear. Going to shift up to second gear. You don't really want to go as wide as you can here. That might slow you down just a little bit. So second gear, it's just a short little bit of second gear, and then looking for this curb. When the tires are cold, probably shifting down into first at the start of the curb here. In real time, it looks like I'm shifting more towards the end of the curb down into first. And again, hugging this curb real tight, using the camber of the track. You don't want to be wide here, it's slow. And again, your back end's gonna slide and really cost you some time. So, but on full throttle, if you're in there and the tires are warm, if the tires are cold, it's not full throttle, you're feathering it a bit. Getting sort of mid-track, and again, this one's kind of a feel thing. The Marshall booth here kind of is a gauge. The other spot I'm looking for is there's a kink right here in the track, and using that as sort of the braking marker. So from first gear, or in first gear, hitting the brakes, getting on them, not super hard. When the tires are cold, you got to get on them harder, of course. And then just giving a blast of brakes, getting on the throttle, just sort of feathering the throttle just to keep the back end from sliding. And then, as soon as you're kind of before the bend here, you want to be getting on full power and using the rest of the track just to unwind the wheel and get as straight as possible, so you can accelerate and get the speed up as quick as possible. And yeah, you're probably going to want to get towards the edge of the curb here. Just use the whole track just to straighten that hairpin out as much as possible, because this is a good straight, and if you screw it up, you'll lose a lot of time through here. So up into fourth, the 100 board is a good marker. This little weird green patch here, if you can see it in your monitor or VR, it's not really super highlighted, but I actually like to use that as a guide. In real time, again, it looks like I'm braking kind of at it, but in slow-mo I'm braking before. Fourth gear, cold tires, again, probably braking just a little earlier. I like to take this in first. You can do it in second. I just find first is more consistent, and if you do it well in first, I don't think you really lose much time, and the consistency actually on a whole maybe saves you more time. So shifting down from fourth into first, again, just keeping a little throttle on just to keep that back end from sliding. That's an important part for pretty much every corner on this track. And then as soon as you're kind of at the apex, as early as you can, getting on to the power again, full throttle, working up the gears. And again, you want to use the curbs here, extend the track, straighten it out. But again, you can see I'm kind of coming onto the curbs a little deeper towards the end of them with the first gear. You don't obviously want to get on the sand. And working up into fourth gear again. So coming towards the end here, the 100 board is certainly the important marker. In real time, again, it looks like I'm kind of braking at the 100 board, but in slow-mo it's obviously a little bit before. Cold tires, again, maybe just a little earlier and a little harder. So fourth gear, shifting down into second. This is a pretty big braking zone. You do really want to slow the car before you turn in, so you can get on the throttle as early as possible. And again, you really have to hug this curb really tight. I get on here a little bit, or I thought I did. You don't really want to get on those curves because they're going to push you wide. So just getting on the throttle as early as you can, as tight as you can to those. Second gear, and again shifting up into third and using all of this curb for your exit. I'm not 100% sure if you get on the sand, you probably get an X. And you also don't want to be on the sand because when you turn in here, that sand is going to give you a snap, and you're going to have to mess around with the steering wheel to keep from spinning. So third gear, and then just sighting basically maybe a car length before the end of the curb, just getting off throttle. Even on cold tires, you don't really want to be braking here. You just want to maybe lifting a little earlier. But yeah, I find you don't want to brake here. Just carry as much momentum as you can. And again, getting up as tight as you can to these, and getting on the power as early as you can. And then unwinding, using the curbs here. Again, sand is going to get you an X. You can just graze the sand a bit with your tires. It won't give you an X, but it's probably not going to make you any faster either. That is it until the line. So 129.5. Certainly there's more time to be had there, but if you're stuck in the 32s, 33s, 34s, hopefully this will get you some extra time, get your pace going. So we'll do it at full speed, and good luck. See you out there. Hopefully not see you in the pits getting the car, getting the quick repair. Hit the like or subscribe. We'll see you later.